I remember the constant ache in my bones, the kind that settled deep and never truly left. My name is Julia, and I was 31 years old, living in Seattle, where the rain was a steady, quiet companion, often mirroring the grayness I felt inside. Every morning before the sun even thought about rising, I was up, the smell of brewing coffee already a familiar comfort, even though I was still half asleep. I worked as a barista at a busy downtown coffee shop, slinging espresso shots and steaming milk, trying to remember everyone's regular order. I'd plaster on a smile, listen to snippets of conversations, and pretend for a few hours that my biggest worry was whether someone wanted extra foam. But when my shift ended and the buzz of the cafe faded, the real work began. I'd head home for a quick, lukewarm meal, maybe half an hour of rest, and then it was time for my second job, night cleaner in an office building. The quiet hum of the fluorescent lights, the scent of industrial-strength cleaner, the endless rows of desks and trash cans, it was a lonely world after dark. I'd push my cart down silent hallways, mopping floors and wiping surfaces until my back screamed and my hands ached. I dreamed of opening my own small coffee shop someday, a warm, cozy place where people could truly connect, a sanctuary from the constant rush. It felt like a distant star, a light I could barely see through the fog of my daily grind. The quiet struggles piled up like the dirty dishes in my sink, barely making enough for rent, the weight of student loan debt, and the deep, gnawing isolation despite living in a city full of millions of people. My dream felt like a childish fantasy. Then came the storm. My younger sister, Lily, who was still in high school, had always been delicate, but her chronic illness flared up suddenly and aggressively. The doctors said she needed specialized treatment, expensive medications, and frequent hospital visits. It was a crushing blow. I was her only family here, her primary caregiver, and the responsibility felt like a physical weight pressing down on my chest. Every bill, every prescription, every new doctor's appointment chipped away at the thin facade I tried to maintain. The internal nemesis, the doubt, began to scream in my head. Am I good enough? Will I ever escape this cycle? Can I keep Lily safe and healthy? The fear of failure, the terror of not being able to provide for her, the constant worry that my dream of a coffee shop would die a slow, painful death, it all spun into a suffocating shroud around me. I felt like I was drowning, and the current was only getting stronger. I tried everything to stay afloat, to keep Lily safe and to somehow cling to the possibility of my future. I took on every extra cleaning shift I could get, sacrificing precious hours of sleep until I felt like a zombie walking through my days. My eyes were always heavy, my mind a blur, but I kept pushing. I cut out every small luxury, every moment of self-care. Even the occasional cup of good coffee was replaced by instant granules stirred into hot water. I looked for cheaper ways to manage Lily's care, spending hours on the phone with insurance companies and social workers, trying to navigate a labyrinth of paperwork and denials. It was a full-time job on top of my two actual full-time jobs. The frustration was a constant companion. I even tried applying for a small business loan, gathering every scrap of paper that might prove my worth. I put together a detailed plan for my coffee shop, envisioning every detail, every flavor, every warm lamp. I remember the hope bubbling up inside me, a tiny, fragile spark. But the bank's rejection letter arrived like a cold slap in the face. Not enough collateral, shaky credit history, too much existing debt. It extinguished that spark, leaving me in deeper darkness. I'd try to be strong for Lily, reading to her in the hospital bed, telling her stories, making up silly jokes, but inside I was crumbling piece by painful piece. The setbacks kept coming, relentless and unforgiving. Lily's condition, just when we thought it was stabilizing, worsened again. Another round of even more expensive medications, another specialized doctor's visit out of network. The numbers on the hospital bills blurred before my eyes. Then my old, rusted car, the one that got me to both jobs and to Lily's hospital, decided to give up the ghost entirely. The mechanic quoted a repair bill that might as well have been a king's ransom. Without that car, my whole delicate schedule would collapse. It felt like the universe was actively working against me, a cruel joke played on a struggling soul. One night, exhausted and distracted, I accidentally knocked over a huge bottle of concentrated floor cleaner at the office building. It wasn't just messy, it was costly. I had to pay for the replacement, a small but significant financial blow that felt like the final straw. I reached my lowest point soon after. I came home to an eviction notice taped to my apartment door. I was late on rent, The car repair and Lily's latest medication had eaten up every penny, and then some. The landlord was unsympathetic, his voice cold and flat on the phone. As I stared at the official papers, my heart hammered against my ribs. My tiny apartment, my only sanctuary, was about to be taken away. And then the call from the hospital. Lily's next crucial treatment was even more expensive than the last, and they needed a significant upfront payment before they could proceed. I sat on the floor of my apartment, surrounded by boxes of donated food, the eviction notice in one hand, the hospital bill in the other. Tears streamed down my face, hot and silent. I felt utterly defeated, worthless, truly at rock bottom. My dream of the coffee shop, of a better life for Lily and me, seemed like a cruel, impossible joke. I thought about giving up entirely, just letting go, disappearing. The internal nemesis screamed its loudest then, echoing the despair I felt in every fiber of my being. There was nowhere left to go, nothing left to do. Desperate, unable to sleep, I wandered out into the Seattle night. The rain was my only companion, a cold, steady comfort against my burning cheeks. I walked for hours, not really knowing where I was going, just needing to move, to escape the suffocating walls of my tiny, now threatened apartment. I found myself in a quiet, tree-lined neighborhood I didn't recognize, the kind with cozy houses and warm lights. My gaze fell upon a small, brightly painted wooden box on a post, a little free library. More out of habit than hope, just needing a distraction, I opened the small door. Inside, nestled among a few well-loved paperbacks, I saw it. A copy of The Secret Garden. But it wasn't just any copy. I recognized the unique worn cover, the way the spine was bent just so, and then, inside the front cover, a small, intricate drawing of a tiny key and a rose. Only Maya, my best friend from high school, and I knew about that drawing. It was our secret symbol, etched into the copy I had lent her years ago, the one we both loved. We had drifted apart after high school, life pulling us in different directions, a small misunderstanding growing into a chasm of silence. My hands trembled as I took the book out. It had to be Maya's copy, the one I had given her. A sudden, unexpected surge of something I hadn't felt in months, perhaps years, bloomed in my chest. Hope. I clutched the book to me, a lifeline in the stormy night. When I got back to my apartment, still dripping wet, I immediately opened my laptop. With hesitant fingers, I typed Maya's name into a social media search. There she was. Her smile was just as warm, her eyes just as kind. My heart pounded. What if she didn't remember me? What if she didn't care? But the image of the little key and rose, of our shared childhood dreams, propelled me forward. I sent her a message, a simple "Is this you?" I found a book. Maya responded almost instantly. Her excitement radiated through the screen. We agreed to meet for coffee the next day at a small cafe not far from where I worked. When I saw her, it was like no time had passed at all. We hugged tightly, and then, overwhelmed by the torrent of emotions, I poured out my story. All of it: Lily's illness, the 2 jobs, the crushing debt, the eviction notice, the hospital bills, the lost dream. Maya listened, her eyes welling up with tears, her expression a mix of shock and heartbreak. She told me she had been doing well, working as a graphic designer, and had just inherited a small amount from a distant aunt. Without a moment's hesitation, she offered to help. She told me about a nonprofit she volunteered with that specialized in helping families with medical costs, and she knew a landlord with a vacant apartment who was looking for a compassionate tenant. And then, she offered more. "Julia," she said, her voice firm but gentle, "I can loan you what you need right now, no questions asked, for Lily's treatment and your rent. You can pay me back when you're on your feet. You would have done the same for me." Accepting help felt like a leap of faith, an admission of defeat, but looking into Maya's kind, unwavering eyes, I saw not pity but genuine love and belief. I nodded, tears streaming down my face again, but this time they were tears of relief, of gratitude. With Maya's unexpected kindness, everything changed. Lily received her crucial treatment and slowly, painstakingly, began to recover. The nonprofit Maya introduced me to helped cover a significant portion of the medical bills, lifting a huge burden. I got a temporary reprieve from eviction, and then, with Maya's help, found a slightly larger, more affordable apartment. Slowly, Maya and I rebuilt our bond, stronger now, forged in shared vulnerability and unwavering support. Maya became my biggest supporter, not just a friend, but a true sister of the heart. I didn't just survive, I thrived. The breathing room Maya gave me allowed me to apply for grants, take online courses to improve my business skills, and meticulously, carefully build my credit. I found a better-paying barista job with benefits, and the late-night cleaning shifts became a distant memory. Years passed. I never forgot that cold, rainy night, or the kindness that found me in a tiny library box. I opened my own coffee shop, the Lending Library Cafe. It was exactly as I had dreamed it, warm, cozy, filled with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and the quiet hum of happy conversations. A prominent feature, right by the front window, was a beautiful wooden shelf filled with books, my own little free library inside the cafe. People could take a book, leave a book, or just sit and read. Sometimes, I'd find little notes tucked inside the pages, messages of hope or shared thoughts. I made sure to offer discounted coffee to anyone struggling, always with a kind word and a warm smile. I even hired people who were facing their own hardships, giving them a chance, just as I had been given one. Lily, now a healthy, vibrant young woman, often volunteered at the cafe, her laughter a bright melody in the air. One rainy afternoon, just like that fateful night years ago, a young woman walked into the cafe. She looked tired, her shoulders slumped, her eyes holding a deep weariness I recognized all too well. She ordered a simple black coffee, her voice quiet. As she waited, her gaze drifted to the Lending library shelf. Slowly, she walked over and picked up a book. I watched her, and in her quiet grace, I saw a reflection of my younger self. She opened the book, and I saw her face light up, a small, beautiful smile blooming on her lips as she found something tucked inside. She clutched the book to her chest and left, a renewed lightness in her step. I smiled, a deep, knowing warmth spreading through me, understanding the ripple effect of kindness, how one small act could echo through countless lives. And then, I realized the book she had picked up, the one that had brought that spark to her eyes, was my old, beloved copy of The Secret Garden. The very one Maya had returned to me, the one I had placed in my own cafe's Lending library years ago. It was a full circle, a quiet whisper from the universe, proving that things truly do get better, and that the smallest acts of connection can indeed change a life, again and again.